Hi there, Stars fans. How you doing today? You're probably not too happy with how they played in Game 44 against the Minnesota Wild. The Stars are tired. It ultimately bites them in this game. They lose to a score of 2-1. If you didn't know, this is the Two Brothers Mic'd Up show. We sit down after each and every Stars game, play a game of NHL, bring you our thoughts, and we discuss what we saw. As each video starts, we start off with the last video. We give predictions, so always stick around. Quinn, you liked a score of 4-2 if Dallas was going to come on top. You liked a score of 5-3 if Minnesota was going to come on top. I liked a score of 3-1 for Dallas and a score of 4-1 for Minnesota. I got the one part right. I figured, this is their 9th game in like 15 days. We were going to get some weary legs. But apparently, not as weary as we thought it was going to be on Minnesota. The Stars ultimately have leg problems, fatigue problems, fatigue of the mind more than anything. They did show a little resolve. They did have some pep in this game, but it was more of the mental fatigue that really told on this team. Quinn, talk about the start of the game and what you saw.
Well, I thought this game was going to be completely different from what they showed in the jump start of the game. You see them come out with pep. You see them come out with what seems like the fatigue wasn't really affecting them. And, they get a goal. And then you see a coach's challenge on it. And I think the outcome of that call ultimately turned this game around.
Yeah, we'll get to that coaching challenge in a little bit. Let's talk about they split up Ben and Sagan again, and again it kind of starts off in the right foot. Like, they have energy. I think it's smart to split them up because they're not really producing at the rate that they did in the beginning of the season. So why not split them up to see if we give a more balanced act to the Stars offense. Now, did you like the splitting up of them again this game, or did you think they needed to, go back to what we needed because it was an important game?
I like that they had them split up again. It proved good in the last game. They had Pep and Steph, and Sagan got a goal right out the bat. So I think it was probably a good call to split them up again.
And we see Oleksiak come in. I think, man, it's his first game in what, 2-3 weeks? How'd you like his game from the start? Because I know that you are a big Oleksiak fan. I know that you like him on this team. I've come around to really liking his effort that he's put in for this season. What'd you see from him?
He came out, he plays his game. He plays a physical game. He adds that size and the hits to the back end. And I thought he came out strong. With every defenseman that doesn't play for a while, they come in with their problems. But I think his were just a little bit minimal this game. I think he played pretty good.
Yeah, I will give him the fact that I did think that he played pretty well for, stepping in for a tired squad. This team is just exhausted, and, he's filling in for Jamie. I think, was it a lower body injury for Jordy. And, I think he stepped in, played pretty well. It was unfortunate that he was on the ice for that goal. Going back and seeing it, he did play as best as he could. It was ultimately on Sevier to really, come back and get his assignments on that player. But overall, I did like it. I was actually surprised that he, whenever the game started turning in the second period, that he didn't decide to drop the gloves. Now, in I think almost every game he's fought in. Now, do you think he might have held back on that because he knows the team is kind of taxed? Their legs really aren't there. Do you think he was thinking about why take a 5-minute penalty to make the other defenseman skate more? Do you think that had a little bit of it, or did you think that he thought he served better to just being in the game rather than out of it?
I think he thought that with the team being tired, that if he were to get taken out of the play, that leaves 5 defensemen, and then that fatigue's really going to start setting in. Granted, we do have a good, if not one of the better top 4 D lines, but I don't think at that time was the right time to take a fighting.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It was smart that he didn't really try to overextend his physicality. I mean, he was physical when he needed to, but he wasn't, looking for something, taking himself out of the play, not really stepping up for anybody, because no one really needed stepping up for in this game. Everything seemed kind of clean, except for a couple of plays. I like to highlight the Mikko Koivu play that he sets a pretty pick on Eakin. I think it was in the second period. I mean, there was some little things going on behind the whistle, but overall, it was a low penalized game, even though the Stars give up the first power play. I'm not counting the coincidental minor. I'm counting legit power plays, and they gave up the first one again, so they tax the forwards and defensemen for another 2 minutes. It's a game that they didn't need to have that, and Sharp ultimately takes another tripping penalty. These plays are ultimately on him. He needs to take care of his stick, and I think it was a deserved penalty. But let's go down the list of scorers. We have Ryan Carter, we have Thomas Vanek, and we have Jamie Benn on the power play. But we should have had a John Klingberg goal. And let's just get right into it. I think it was a terrible, terrible call. That's not just the homer speaking in me. That is the fan in me. That's the person that has played hockey since he was 9. I mean, that knows goalies get the benefit of the doubt 9 times out of 10. This was just a bad penalty, and how I see it as it being a bad penalty, or not a penalty, a bad call for this goalie interference. 1, no real big interference. Okay, he touched his little glove. But that ultimately doesn't stop him. Some might say, oh, Antoine Roussel's skates hit his stick. Valid point. But you're still wrong. That doesn't impede Dubnyk from the play. What breaks down on that play is Dubnyk himself. Dubnyk likes to play deep into his net. He sees Roussel coming. I ultimately think that he sees Roussel coming towards his crease, and that's why he doesn't challenge the shot. Now, when you go back and you look at that replay, Roussel is not even there before Klingberg gets the puck. There's at least 2 seconds that Dubnyk is able to get a sight on that Klingberg has the puck, and the most egregious play on it, Dubnyk does not skate out to challenge the shot. He stays back in his net because he knows Roussel is coming. When the refs ultimately say that the goalie was not able to play the puck, I call bullshit on that. Let's get your opinion on that, Quinn.
I mean, I completely agree with it being a BS call. The only thing that I see that they really could have called it is whenever he first gets there, you know, his skates hit his stick. So, I mean, but even that's still too weak. He doesn't try to move to get to the net or to play the puck properly. He just kind of sits there and behind Roussel.
Yeah, no, he does. He makes no challenge. The thing that irks me the most on this play is that when a skater is in the slot, they come up to the top of the crease to challenge the shot. Dubnyk just slides over. He knows that Klingberg is there. It's not a full screen until Roussel is there and Klingberg has already gotten the puck. Klingberg has the puck before Roussel gets there. Go back and watch the replay. You'll see that I'm right. It's the fact that Dubnyk does not challenge the top of the crease is what irks me the most. Now, if he had come out to try to play the puck, to try to make Roussel, like, impede him, to really try to stop the puck, okay. I am fine with that. Me and you have watched plenty of games to where we're seeing goalie interference, and sometimes I root against Dallas on it because I think it's the right play. I like to think that I try to go for the hockey play, the one that benefits the game. This one does not benefit the game. I hope that the NHL takes this footage right here and puts a more clear precedent on how the rule is, because you know what? The crease rule is not in the NHL anymore. The player is allowed to go there, but yes, he has to let the goalie play the puck in the crease, but the goalie didn't want to play the puck, didn't want to play the shot. He stood there and looked helpless, and he got a free call. But you know, that shouldn't have flustered the Stars as much as it did. The Stars, again, we go to the top of the video whenever I was talking about, they were just mentally fatigued. You know, they weren't getting their passing right. They were giving weak shots against Dubnyk. Not a lot of like moves or dekes or any kind of like head fakes or anything like that. It was a lot of, you know, one-on shots, straight on, and you know, Dubnyk would make some glove save and it'd be over with. You know, that the Stars just didn't contest enough, and the Minnesota Wild got a whiff of that, and they started to bring their speed and their you know, their pressure, and ultimately that's what gets, you know, the Stars in trouble. That they just let the Minnesota Wild dictate the game after that missed call from the refs. Quinn, going off into like the middle of the game, towards the end, how did you see our defense, you know, playing?
Our defense were playing real panicked. It seemed like it's kind of hard to explain. It's like they're almost scared to go to the puck, because every time we go in there, we see no physicality from our defense. We just see, you know, they're getting beat. They're making panicked passes. They're trying to shoot it off the glass down to who knows what player is supposed to be there. But I mean, they're just not making smart choices.
Yeah, I think, towards the end of the second period is when the Stars. Look, I'm not going to say they give up because they are professional athletes. They are paid to play and paid to win. I don't think they gave up, but you could tell that they had a lot of blasé efforts when it came to trying to go after loose pucks and stuff like that, or when they turned it over, they didn't really fight hard enough to get back into it. I hate being negative about the team, but and fatigue is a factor. It is. But they're professional athletes, and every team has to go through stuff like this. And the best teams in the league find ways to win. The Stars are in a slump right now. They're about to go on a 5-day break, a much-needed 5-day break, and then they're going to get the All-Star break. This team has played a lot, but they are about to get a lot of rest. So I honestly think that after last night, I know I said this kind of like after the slump on that New York road trip. I really think this is where the Stars define the rest of their season. A lot is hanging in the balance of where they're going to get playoff positioning. Can they get back and get to their winning ways, their scoring ways, their good defense? I think Niemi is still holding up. I think he was arguably one of the best players on the Stars last night. Without him, they don't stand a chance in this game. So I thought Fatska was the best Dallas Stars player on the ice. He was, granted, he didn't look tired because he hasn't played all that much. He's not getting top 6 minutes, but that's what the Stars needed. He brought so much physicality to it and tried to turn the tide for the Stars that, it was refreshing to see because, no one else was doing it. I don't fault Alexiak for that, but all the other forwards just didn't have any kind of spark. And Foxa said, I'll bring that spark. And it was nice to see. How'd you like, because now he's been assigned back down to Texas. How do you feel? I honestly don't think that he should be sent back down. To be honest with you, I don't want Hemsky back in the lineup. I don't. Hemsky is good. He's good. But if you can tell from the way my voice sounds, me just saying he's good, I'm not really all that confident in him. I'd much rather get Radek up here and have him get used to the system, get used to the NHL minutes, get used to the grind, because I think he's going to be a player for a while. And why not give him that chance now? Because I don't think Hemsky has really panned out all that well. I would not be surprised by trade deadline that maybe he's gone. How do you feel about him being sent back down to Texas?
It's like I've always said, we have plenty of NHL ready forwards with McKenzie, Ritchie, Faxa. And, I just wish that we could get them into play. I feel that with some of our depth forwards that we have better talent down in the AHL that could fill those spots. So I'm hoping that we make a trade and, something good comes out of it.
Yeah, I hope so too. I hope trade deadline we really go for a defenseman, maybe send a package of a couple of forwards like Hemsky, maybe a couple of picks. I think we need a good, strong third pairing defenseman come towards a trade deadline. I'd like to see that. But we also see in the second period the score go from 1-0. We see it go to 2-0 from a just freaky, lucky play that I bet you Coyle on the bench was like, I meant to do that. But he gets the luckiest of luckiest bounces. He just randomly throws a stick out, hopes that it hits it, and it does. It was one of the luckiest plays I think I had ever seen that led to a goal. You know, he gets that, and then Vanek is able to just deke Niemi out of his pads. I thought that was the only time that I thought Niemi looked weak. And the Stars, it was a culmination of everything because instead of using the boards, they tried to go right up the middle. You know, it goes into that sloppy passing, bad decisions because they're tired. But I mean, the Stars, like the past 5 games, you know, it seems that they want to show effort whenever the stakes are just against them. There's nothing left to lose, so they're just going to throw everything and the kitchen sink at it. And I think that's been the biggest problem for the Stars in the past 5 games is that they don't really try until they absolutely have to fight and claw their way back into it. Because we see a desperation move. Minnesota takes a penalty. And we see Coach pull Niemi. We have 6 forwards out there against 4 of the Minnesota Wild, and Jamie Benn picks up a power play goal. But that is after Jamie Benn just absolutely gets rocked by Coyle. Arguably their best forward against the Dallas Stars this season. I think Coyle has just been fantastic against us. I'm always weary whenever he's on the ice that he's going to make something happen. And he made that second goal happen, and then he just absolutely rocks the captain. But what I liked out of that is that it might have jumbled something out of Jamie. You know, it looked like Jamie probably needed to get his ass kicked right there. Just kind of get him out of this funk. You know, star players sometimes need to have that happen to them to realize, oh, I have not been playing all that great. Jamie's been saying that he hasn't been playing all that great, and I respect him in his post-game interviews for saying stuff, but a lot of his on-ice actions, it's not really reflecting with what he's saying. So it was nice. I mean, it was terrible seeing that happen to our captain, but the end result out of it, we get a goal out of him. So I think it balances itself out. You know, there's no need to fight Coyle from it because it was a nice hit. You know, Jamie didn't see it coming. And Jamie didn't need to do that wraparound. If he had just put a shot on net and not overthinking, it would have probably never happened. So, you know, I liked Jamie's response to it by getting the power play goal. But, you know, the Stars just didn't fight until they were already out. Looking at the stat battle, you know, the Stars had 29 hits to Minnesota's 23. So, I mean, they tried to do what they can. I honestly don't know where the 29 hits came from. I'm not really sure how they credit a hit all that well, because some games you think that the Stars are, you know, playing out of their mind and, you know, hitting everything, and then they only get 15 hits. But the big thing is the giveaways. I mean, they win the face-off battles, they win the takeaway battles, but that's because Minnesota was playing ahead for a lot of the game, and they were applying the pressure with their speed. So, you know, takeaways are going to, you know, help that. But the giveaways is what, you know, the Stars have always been egregious on for the season. Let's go into the ratings. What'd you rate this game, Quinn?
I rated it a probably a D plus. You know, we started out the game great for the first 10 minutes, and then you see the downhill battle start to happen, and the Stars never really recover from it. Yeah, Jamie Benn gets his goal, but I mean, even after that goal, it just seemed like the Stars just were panicking, trying to make passes they shouldn't, make wraparounds that they shouldn't. With an overall bad showing, but there were some positives. You know, Jamie Benn leads the league now in goals again, so that's something to take from this.
Yeah, I agree with the D plus rating because I wrote down a big old D plus. I don't really need to explain that because I think everybody would think that that wasn't the best game. Stars get 5 days off. Then we fly out to sunny California. Stars play the Anaheim Ducks. How do you see that game playing out? Because we always love playing the Ducks.
Well, it's like you said, Anaheim's, you know, they're starting to get their game back. They're starting to pull some wins up. Granted, they're still nowhere near Dallas's record, but they're starting to find ways to win now. And this is a team that's going to be hard to play against, I feel. It's not going to be like the first time we played them. I figure it's going to be more of a low-scoring battle. So I'm going to say if Dallas comes on top, it's going to be 3-2. And if Anaheim comes on top, it's going to be 2-1.
Interesting. Interesting indeed. I, on the other hand, think it's going to be an absolute shootout. Stars get 5 days rest, their mind right, their feet right, their sticks right. Goaltending, I'm not too sure who gets the start for Dallas, but I don't think that matters because everyone will be rested. I like a score of 5-2 for Dallas. And I like a score of 3-1 for Anaheim. So that's the discussion. Be sure to subscribe, like, share, leave any kind of feedback down below. Remember, this is a show for fans, by fans, so help us grow this into something special. And as always, tune in next time.